Hey everyone, my name's Ruth. I am the owner of Little Lush Lashes and I thought I would just make a quick video. I say quick, I don't know how long it's gonna be, but I thought I'd just make a quick video just talking all things lashes, my journey, my tips and what I would say to people who are just starting out, and if there are any things that I would do differently, what would I do? So first of all, a little introduction. Like I said before, I own Little Lush Lashes, so is there any need? So first of all, like I said, I am the owner of Little Lush Lashes, so I am an eyelash technician. I also offer eyelash training. I'm a trainer and I own my own salon. So there is already a video up of my whole lash journey and it is quite long. It wasn't the best quality. I did it in my car, so I'll briefly just go over it. So where it all started for me was in September of 2018. I was just in a regular 9 to 5 job I wasn't really enjoying, and I've always never really found my niche, so something that I really want to do and felt really passionate for. So why eyelash extensions? For me, you'd think, oh, I've always had my lashes done, I want to be one of them girls. No, it was never like that. I've never really been like the girliest of girls. I do, as I've grown older, I got a lot girlier. As for beauty treatments and things like that, I've never really been the girl to go and get my lashes done, my brows done. Up until literally about 6 months ago, I'd never had my eyebrows waxed or tinted, nothing like that. So I am from quite a small town, and I've my best friend from school, Nikita, Keats I call her, she, ever since we were 16, 17, she was religiously going to get her lashes done by a girl that lives in our area but at the opposite end to where we live, just out of the town where we live. And Keita was driving about 45 minutes, 50 minutes every 2 to 3 weeks to get her lashes done, and I just saw a gap in the market from my town because there was no one really offering it, and I just thought, why not, what can go wrong? So I travelled down to Manchester to do my beginner's classic course with quite a big company. I think now courses have got a hell of a lot better than what they were. Obviously that was 2 years ago now. I wouldn't, if you ask me would I recommend the first course that I went on, personally I would say no, but I don't know what their courses are like now. But yeah, it was with a big company. It was probably, I think it was a Sunday, an all-day course, and then in there I left and I got my certificate. But realistically, the day that I left, I didn't really have a clue what I was doing. I just was basically taught how to stick an eyelash on a natural lash, none really of the ins and outs. It was all very briefly skimmed over. I didn't have any aftercare support from anyone really. So, and I think unfortunately for people that did the course around my time, that was just the standard of the courses, I think, from what I can gather, because I know that quite a few people that went on the course that I went on around the same time, and they've said exactly the same. So I went away and it was basically, a lot of it was self-taught. So it probably took me around 6 months to get really comfortable with classics. Russians really weren't a thing back then. I mean, they were around, but they weren't massive. It was all classics. So I did my classic course in September of 18, and fast forward of September 19, I travelled all the way down to Essex, over 200 miles away from where I am, to go and do my Russian course with Mr. Lash Corey Morris. At the time he was known as the Lash Daddy. I'd seen him all over Instagram and I just thought that his work was amazing. That course, I would say, was amazing. The aftercare support from my Russian course that I went on was amazing. I had to submit 4 case studies, and if I had any questions I could always get back to them. So September 19 I got my Russian qualification, and then in October I trained to do my education diploma to become a trainer. And in November of 19, I opened my own salon and training academy, Little Lush Lounge. So briefly, that is my journey. Obviously there's a lot that goes into it, in and out, but overall from September 18 all the way to today, 2020, June 2020. Obviously I opened my salon in November, and because of coronavirus we had to shut down and go into full lockdown in the UK on March the 23rd, and still no kind of sign as of when the beauty industry will be back up and running. Hopefully it's going to be soon though, because I'm itching to get back to work. I just can't wait to see all of my clients. So just on the whole coronavirus topic, obviously no one wants to be out of work at all. I usually work 7 days a week really. I try and have Mondays off, but that never really happens. My schedule is I lash from Tuesday all the way to Saturday, and on Sundays I host my training courses, which is in-house. And that is not factoring in social media. I think a lot of people don't realise in this job, I think any self-employed job that you're running a business and trying to keep your business going, is you need to be very present on your social media. So of course when you're at work actually doing lashes and occupied with other people, you can't be sat on your phone doing your social media. So all of that comes after your actual practical work. So I'm used to working all day, every day. The only time when I'm not really working is when I am sleeping or eating. It's very weird for me to take a day off work, never mind 3 months off work. Obviously I've been trying to keep up with my social medias. At the beginning of lockdown I was making strip lashes just to occupy myself. I've kind of stopped making them now. I mean, we are 3-4 months in. I think that even though some people might say not, this break has been quite needed for some people in my industry, because we do just work ourselves out, and it does get to a point where you are kind of, you do need a break, but you can't really take one because you need to be constantly working. So I have enjoyed having some time off, but definitely now I'm ready to get back into the salon, back seeing all of my regular girls, new girls, and just working all day, every day. When we go back, I am definitely going to try and make more of an effort to not just work all the time, to go out. I think that's really important, is finding a balance between work and social life. I'm just going to go over some questions that I get asked quite regularly now, and then afterwards I'll go over some advice that I would give to myself 2 years ago. So first of all, my best advice to new lash techs and people that want to come into the industry. Obviously, first of all, what you would need to do is get your training, and one thing that I definitely say is look in and do your research as to who you're going to do your training with. Some tips I would give is, if you can, try and go and do your training with someone that has been a lash tech themselves or is a lash tech. So as your trainer, you ideally would want to have a lash tech or an experienced lash tech. So if you go to someone that is a lash tech or has been a lash tech themselves, of course they're going to give you their best advice. They've experienced things, they can tell you things that in a textbook won't have. So definitely try and see if you can go to someone that is a lash tech themselves. There's quite a lot of training courses now, and a lot of them are really, really good. So a sign of a good training course doesn't have to be a lash tech as a trainer, but I would definitely say that's more beneficial than someone that isn't. Pricing as well, there is a big argument of pay cheap and pay twice. My first course I think was around £150, and that wasn't the best of courses, but you can get courses that are that price, but just make sure you do your research. I would definitely say for a decent course you are looking at around the 200 plus mark. People value their time and their training at different prices, but I would definitely say if it's under, say, like 150, under 200, you should kind of be looking into, well, why is this so cheap? Is it an accredited course as well? Because I've seen so many girls that messaged me wanting to do a Russian course, and they've done a classic course online from Voucher, and you know, you can do online courses, but an accredited course, so what that means is the trainer has their work looked at and verified and accredited, and therefore you will get a certificate that is recognised and will allow you to get insured properly, because it proves that your training has been adequate to the industry standard. If it's not an accredited course, you won't be able to work as a fully insured lash tech. So make sure that the course that you're doing is accredited and fully insurable. If you are doing one online, just make sure that you're asking the question, is this accredited? Because if it's not, if you are wanting to get into it as a job and not wanting to do it as just an add-on to experience and knowledge, you won't be able to get fully insured as a lash tech on that. Training kits as well. Some courses include training kits, some courses don't. It just depends who you go to. I would say if you're not going to a course that doesn't include your training kit, that's completely fine. You can buy training kits altogether online from stores, big brands. I would personally say ask the trainer that you're going with, can they recommend any products, because realistically they should be able to give you a recommended list of products, what would be best, because if they're training you, they should be able to say, look, this is what you need as a beginner, this is what will work best. If they can't give you a recommendation for a kit, which they should be able to, but if not, do your research into the kits that you are getting. I would say if you are buying a cheap starter kit, maybe invest in a separate bottle of glue, because you will tend to find if you're investing in one training kit and it's on the cheaper side, that the glue won't be the best. So I do recommend to people, try and get a list off the trainer or message some lash techs that you know and ask them for recommendations on products that they use, and try and buy things separately, because sometimes in a kit they can lack. I would say for courses is try and go to one. Some people get put off when they see a training course where you have to complete case studies. I think the case studies are actually a really good sign of quite a good course. Case studies are there to help you, not necessarily the trainer. It's not the trainer bagging you out. Case studies are there to ensure that you're working at a good standard and to continue the ongoing support. So most courses that do have case studies, it's probably around 2 to 4 case studies that you'll have to complete within a certain time period. And all a case study means is you're taking pictures before and after that displays your work. You send it off to your trainer, they mark it to check that everything's okay. If there is things that need improvement, your trainer can give you guidance and point out things that perhaps you're not doing correctly and how to improve on that. And then after all your case studies are signed off, then you'll be given your certificate. If you have to complete case studies and won't be qualified until you do that, that's completely fine. All you'll need to do, you'll still be able to do lashes after you've left the training course day and still need to complete your case studies. You'll just need to get student insurance rather than the full insurance that you'll have to get when you get your qualification. But don't be put off from a course that requires you to complete case studies, because it's the ongoing support. And just as well, make sure that you're asking and researching into the course that you're doing. If they don't have case studies, that's completely fine, but maybe ask, you know, will there be ongoing support? Because I can guarantee you're not going to be able to absorb all the information. You will be able to take notes, but when you go onto your first course, it's so much information and sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming. So there may sometimes be things that you go away from the training day and you perhaps forget, you don't remember, or you see something online or see someone else doing something, you've got questions about it and you want to ask your trainer. It's always good to know that you can always go back to the place where you did your training from, send them an email. And I think, again, that's a good sign of a good training academy and training course. Obviously, once you've got your qualification, amazing, you're going to be starting your journey into a lash tech, whether you want to be a full-time or part-time. My best advice that I would say as well is, I said before that Russians weren't really a massive thing when I did my course. but they are now. Russians are a lot of the time the in thing and what people want, and a lot of mistakes that I see new lash techs doing is they'll complete the course and then a week later be trying to do handmaids and pre-mades on like their clients. I truly, hand on heart, believe that you need to focus on your classics before you're offering Russians. Classics are the base and the foundation of everything else that any other lash tech will learn in their career, and if you haven't perfected your foundation, everything on top of that will be crumbling apart. It's kind of like a pyramid. You have got to think of it like that, and at the bottom of the pyramid is your classics. That's your basic stuff, and I think that if you can't do your basics to a really good high standard, you shouldn't be moving on to do more advanced things like pre-made, handmade and other kind of styles. So don't be afraid of taking a step back and really focusing and practicing and perfecting your classics. When you want to go on to do your Russian course, a lot of the Russian courses will require you to have a minimum experience of classics, just because, like I said, you need to be able to do your classics. You need to take pride in your work, and I think that trying to perfect your classics and mastering that is a massive step in your career and taking pride in your work, because you're not rushing to do the other things. I always say a sign of a good lash tech, no matter how advanced they are, is their classic sets. If their classic sets aren't up to par, they shouldn't be offering other treatments. You really need to be focusing on your classics, and then once you've done that, move on, because I can guarantee you'll find it so much easier. Definitely focus on your classics. Don't rush into trying to offer pre-mades and handmaids, because if you don't have the skill and the knowledge of your classics, you're putting your clients in danger and yourself in danger, really, because if you don't know what you're doing, someone was to claim in your insurance. And one big thing as well is, if you are offering handmade fans, you need to be qualified in handmaids. A lot of it comes down to insurance reasons. If you were to do a full set on a client with handmaids, offering them as handmaids, charging them for handmaids, and if something, God forbid, goes wrong, touch wood, nothing like that has ever happened to me, anyone that I know, but if something like that was to happen and that client claimed on your insurance, and your insurance find out that you're not qualified and don't hold the qualification in Russians, your insurance will turn to nil and they will not cover you, and you can get yourself into real big trouble if you're offering treatments that you're not qualified for. Just make sure that you're focused and you've got the correct qualifications to do the services that you're offering. And then another thing is insurance. Make sure that you are getting insurance, whether you're a student and still training, you still need to get insurance if you're offering a service. So you'll need to get product liability insurance and public liability insurance. Product liability covers you if something goes wrong with the treatment, if it's not done properly, if someone claims or anything like that, if someone has a reaction, anything like that, that's what will cover you. And your public liability insurance is to do if someone injures themselves in your place of work, whether it be your home, whether it be that you're going to someone's house as mobile, you're responsible to making sure that your clients are safe. So product liability insurance and public liability insurance, just make sure that you are getting them, whether you're training or fully qualified, just make sure that you've got them in the bag, and then you'll be all set to go as a new lash tech. Now, once you've got all them things and you're ready to go, you will need to start thinking about where you want to offer your services. Do you want to be a mobile lash tech? Do you want to be home-based? Do you want to be in salon-based? I've done all three of them, and a lot of people, when they do start out, do offer mobile. When you're starting out, you're trying to build your client base up. So if you can offer a mobile service, that's great, because you'll be able to go to them clients that necessarily you wouldn't really have in case, say, they didn't drive, they weren't able to get to where your location is. It is a really good thing to offer mobile services, because you are going to be getting extra clientele that you wouldn't necessarily get if you didn't offer mobile. So obviously you'll need all of your kits, you'll need your lashes, your tweezers, your glue, everything that you would usually use, and you'd need a bed as well. Don't be going to clients' houses and doing their lashes on their sofas or on their beds. First of all, it's not very professional. You do want to be offering a professional service. If you're professional, you don't need to be like walking in military style, but you do need to have a level of professionalism about you, and you want to make a good impression. So you need to be investing in a lash bed, a portable one. Now, when I first started, I got mine off eBay and Amazon. You can buy them from big brands and beauty stores, but they are quite often all the same, other than the big salon made ones. They're a lot bulkier. So one thing that I would definitely say when you are buying a portable lash bed, you'll have two options when you're buying one. You can either buy a wooden one, or you can either buy a aluminium metal one. They're exactly the same, it's just the body of them is either wooden or aluminium. I think that there's literally a slight price difference between the two. I've had both. I would personally say though, try and go for the aluminium metal ones if you can. I just tend to find that they are a lot lighter than the wooden ones and a lot less bulkier, and to adjust the height of them, it's a lot easier. I'm only 5 foot, probably 5'1" at a push, and I really struggled in the beginning when I was offering mobile, because they say portable, but they are portable beds, but they are quite big. Don't underestimate how big the beds can be. So just make sure you factor into account all the stuff that you need to take with you when you are offering a mobile service. I would definitely say is try and pack the night before to make sure that you've got everything. Have your bed in your car ready to go with you, so you're not running late trying to fit it in. Definitely just before you leave and set off, go over your kit again to make sure that you've got everything that you're going to need. One thing as well, you need to make sure that the client is aware that you are going to need a bit of a space to put all your stuff. Ask them, have you got a space that's suitable for my bed to come into? Will the bed fit in? Because there's no point of you going to a client's house, lugging all your stuff out your car, and then actually the living room or the kitchen is too small. Another thing as well that I would definitely say if you're offering a mobile service is, so your clients do need to be made aware before you go and before that they've agreed to the service. I would definitely recommend setting out policies, and in your policies have appointment policies. So set out in there how long the appointment is going to be, because there's nothing worse than turning up to someone's house and they've got a child there that needs looking after, and their eyes are going to be closed. Because I can guarantee you, and it's happened to me before, you're halfway through and someone's literally can hear the kid crying and they open their eyes, and it's so dangerous. Well, the first thing that you should be doing is, if you go into someone's house and they do have children, or even if you're in a salon they're bringing children, that needs to be a no-no. They need to have someone supervising their children, because their eyes need to be shut for 2 hours, an hour and a half, or even when you're starting out 3 to 4 hours. You know, they can't continue to open their eyes throughout the service. It's dangerous. It'll be uncomfortable for them. It'll make your job very difficult, and it's just not ideal. So if you're turning up to a house and they've got kids, you realistically need to rearrange. If someone does keep an open their eyes throughout the service, you need to, as the lash tech and business owner, you know, say to them, if you continue to do this, I cannot continue, because it's dangerous. So just make sure that you aren't being pushed about when it comes to being a mobile lash tech. And that does go for in salons. If people are bringing the kids, you need to be upfront with them and say, listen, I'm not being, you know, difficult, it's dangerous, and also your insurance wouldn't cover you. You know, if you're doing something and their kids are messing around, their kids hurt themselves, their kids being left not supervised, and your insurance wouldn't cover you for that. So just make sure that you are, it's general, you know, common sense and knowledge. Just make sure you're not being a push about. When you're a mobile lash tech as well, you need to be considering the time that it's taking you to get to appointments, to pack up, to get your stuff in there, to, you know, get everything set up. You know, you need to be filtering them in. I would say that when you're starting out, maybe do a certain area, so maybe a 1 mile, 2 mile radius, and then once it gets past that, you do need to be adding on like a fuel charge, maybe £5, a couple of pounds, £10 if it's outside of a certain radius, because it's all good you going to the house, doing the service and getting paid for it. But if you're losing money traveling to and from, you'll be making a little bit of a profit, but you'll be losing out on the fuel costs. So filter in your fuel costs, also your time. If you're a mobile lash tech, it's going to take you longer to pack all your stuff up, then you've got to go to someone's house. You're probably going to be leaving like half an hour in between clients, whereas if you are working at home or in a salon, you can have people back to back. Working from home is great, especially if you've got a certain room that you can set up as a beauty room. Don't be afraid though, is if you are starting out, you know, it's not the end of the world if you don't have a spare room to do up as a beauty room. You can do it in your kitchen, in your living room. Just make sure though that you are being professional about it. So make sure if you have got a client in, you haven't got your dad sat in the living room watching footy screaming at the TV with a beer in his hand. And as well, just make sure it's presentable. Obviously, a house is lived in, that's fine. Just make sure it's clean, tidy. I would definitely say try and put some pictures around of your work or of your price list or of your logo. Doesn't have to be hung on the wall. If it's not really a room of your beauty room, you can have them on the side, maybe a price list. You can do things to try and, you know, make it more presentable, especially if you are working from home in the beginning. When you are working from home, you can sometimes find that people take advantage of the fact that you are working from home, so people will try to come to their appointments early and expect to be seen because they know it's your house. Don't let people try and take advantage of that. Don't be rude, but just say to them, I'm really sorry, I'm on my lunch break. Your scheduled appointment time is this time. I will see you then. And if they do get funny, just say, well, maybe recommend, you know, a local shop, a cafe that they can go to. Oh, you can go to this cafe and wait there and then come back at your appointment time. You do need to be making sure as well that if you are working from home and a salon, you are saying to people where they can park if they're coming in a car. You know, if they can park in your driveway, great. If not, just say, or you can go and park on this side of the road, or just give them an idea of where to park, because people wouldn't really know, and you don't really want to annoy your neighbours as well. If, you know, some people may park the cars in front of people's driveways and not notice, and you don't want to be disturbed midway through a set by your neighbour asking someone to move the car. So just give them an idea before they come to the appointment. Make sure you're making it clear if you're cash only, if you've got a card machine or not. If you are cash only, point out to people and tell this before and say to them, the nearest cash point is so-and-so place. If you are doing card only, you have got to also think about your card processing fees, because you can't just take card and not have any fees. A lot of card processing fees are around, they range really, whether you've got a contract or whether you've got a one from a post office. I have a little one called Square from the company Square, and I think the processing on that is $1.75, but I know for PayPal transactions and stuff like that it's $2.5. So if you are taking card only, make sure maybe up your price a tiny little bit to compensate you so you're not losing out. Just factor those in. And working from salon based as well, just make sure that people know where they're going, what the salon's called. If, you know, you're in a new salon or a salon that your clients might not know, say, oh, it's near this, this and this. Just give them an idea. It's always great to have your location in your bio. Obviously, if you're home based, you don't really want to put your home address everywhere. So what I used to do when I worked from home was the day before their appointments, they get sent the address. Obviously, if they had any queries, that would be fine. They could get back to me, but I wouldn't just hand my address out willy-nilly before their appointment. Be a little bit wary when you are giving your address out, especially if you're home-based. One question that I do get asked a lot is how you make the jump from working in an employment when you do start out to going full-time self-employed, and it is different for everyone. I think it can be a very daunting thing, especially if you've got bills to pay. You know, in your full-time job, your employment through another company, wherever it is that you're working, you've got that guaranteed income. And, you know, if you've got bills to pay, you do need to make sure that you've got your guaranteed income to be able to pay your bills. It's like a safety net. Whereas self-employment, you know, you've got to work hard. You never really know. You can have a rough idea, but especially when you're starting out, you won't be making as much as potentially you will be in a year's time. So it is a big jump and it can be quite scary. What I personally did, and I would recommend if you do want to have a safety net still but you want to be going more self-employed, is I began working mobile when I very first did my course, and I was continued with my 9 till 5. I did mobile, I was fitting people in wherever I could, and then it got to the point where I was like, right, I want to take this serious, I want to do this as a job. So what I did is I got a part-time job. I'd recommend, you know, kind of Costa, Starbucks, see if you can get a part-time job there. You can just keep that part-time and then do part-time self-employment forever. It's dependent on what you want to get out of your business and where you want to be personally. I'd got my client base up so much to the point where I wanted to take more clients who were ready to come to me, but I was doing my hours at Costa, so I weighed it up as well. Money wise, I was actually earning more than minimum wage. The great thing about being self-employed is you do make your own wage, you charge people what you think you're worth, and I'm very lucky that I earn more than minimum wage doing my lashes. So I was on minimum wage at Costa, so it kind of weighed up for me that, you know, I'd be financially better off taking the jump and going full-time, and that's what I did. Especially if you want to take it serious as a job and want to pursue it, you do need to be able to take that risk. But don't be too scared to, like I said, you can just build yourself up doing part-time, but it's never, you know, you don't have to go from having full-time employment to straight up full-time self-employment. Especially when you're building yourself up, you need to get to a level where, you know, you're just working up the ladder. It's not going to be all fun and games from the very beginning. It's going to be hard work. You're going to be working a lot of hours. You're going to be missing out on going out on events and going out with your friends. That's just the way it is. I can't sugarcoat that and say I go out every weekend. I used to be really sociable when I was like 17, 18, 19, but I speak as if I'm like in my 30s. I'm only 21, I promise. But I think that I'm so focused and set on my business and what I want to achieve. You do want to be able to sacrifice some things. You don't have to have no social life whatsoever, but you do need to bear in mind, you know, if you really, really want to success and go places in life, you do need to maybe, you know, sacrifice 1 or 2 weekends out with your friends to do some more work. So don't come into it thinking you're going to earn lots of money. And even experienced lash techs, you know, throughout the year, we're not massively busy all throughout the year. Some people are, some people aren't. I know from my experience, I've had weeks where I thought, oh my God, I am so quiet this week. Why am I so quiet? And then the next week I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm fully booked. You know, it can be a little bit unpredictable at times, and that is the scary thing about self-employment. But as long as you stick at it and you're putting your all in and you believe in yourself, things will get better. You know, they say that on average businesses take around 3 years to really take off, so you can't expect everything in the first couple of months. It's going to be hard, but don't give up. I think that there will become a point where there'll be a block in the road and you think, oh, can I do this? Is it really worth it? You know, and I think that that's the difference between people making it and not making it. You need to push yourself. You'll get through it. Things will get better. I'm a massive believer in the law of attraction. I could do a whole nother video on that, but it's really important not to give up when things get tough. You know, don't be hard on yourself as well when things are a little bit tough. Everyone has that. People that lie and say that their life is amazing all the time aren't always telling the truth. Nothing's as it always seems. People have to work hard to get to places. Even the most successful people in life started from the bottom. So don't be too hard on yourself. So building clients as well, when you are first starting out. My first one would be as a new lash tech, whether you're new to Russians and you've already got your classic course, or you're a complete beginner lash tech. Try and offer an introductory price if you are learning something new, a new style, a new skill. People will jump at a deal. You don't want to be doing things for free. People will take advantage of you if you're doing things for free. But, you know, say maybe your first 5 to 10 clients do for a discounted rate. As a rough guide for people that aren't too sure, I would say maybe 50% of what you're planning to charge fully when you do feel comfortable. So if you're planning on charging £40 for classics, say maybe £20 introductory price, and people will come to you, and then that's how you kind of build your client base. You want to also set up your social medias. Social media is massive. You can get clients by word of mouth, but nowadays, especially if your target audience is younger girls, so 17 to 25 to 26, they are on their social media. So set up an Instagram account, a Facebook business account. TikTok's a really good new one as well to use. The main ones for lash techs currently at the moment is Instagram, and I do think TikTok's going to be quite big, but definitely set yourself up an Instagram and make sure that you've switched your settings from a personal account to a business account. On business accounts, when you've posted some posts or stories, you'll be able to look at the insights, and what that is, it's just basically telling you what your most popular one is, how many people have seen your post, what times people are most active, what was your most interactive post. So it's really great to look at your insights, because you want to be posting when people are most active. You don't want to be posting halfway through the day if people are always active at night, because you'll get the most people at night time. So make sure you've got your business setting on rather than a personal account, and be present on your social media as well. Instagram has an algorithm. Basically, if you're not consistent with your posting, Instagram will push you to the bottom of the page. When you're going on your Instagram, you will see the first post at the top of the page, and that post is the most interactive post. So if you're posting consistently, so I personally would say post every single day, try and post at the same time every day, post at least once every day. If you can, 3 times a day, maybe once in the morning, once in the afternoon, once in the evening/night time, but on a basic, post once a day. At the same time every day, try and post some stories and keep it relevant to obviously your business and what your audience want to see, and that way you will start to see yourself building more up, because Instagram will show your stuff to more people as well. On your Instagram, make sure if people are commenting on your post, you're commenting back. Don't ever just leave the comments as a no-go, because that all goes in with your interaction as well. If Instagram sees that people are commenting on your post and you're commenting back, it will then boost your post up and show it to more people, because there's more interaction on your page, and that's how it works. So be present on your social medias, even on the days that maybe you don't have anything to post. Maybe go on Pinterest and find a quote and just post a quote, just so you're posting something every single day and being consistent. Loyalty cards are a really good way of building clientele and making sure people are coming back to you. So when I first started, I just got some business cards and loyalty cards off Vistaprint. I would definitely say try and get yourself a logo and a brand identity. I contacted a graphic designer that was local to me. He's really good. I can put his link in the bio, and there's a few other ones. If you just search on Instagram, I can guarantee you'll find graphic designers. So this is what my cards look like. So it's just got my logo on the front, and then you've got the loyalty card system on the back. So my clients will get a stamp every time they come, and on the 6th time they can use it for 25% off. When I first started, I gave a free set of lashes. Once you build yourself up though, you don't want to be given free sets of lashes left, right and centre, because you will find that these do get used up quite quickly when you've got returning clients. Maybe reduce it 25% off, but loyalty cards are a great way of showing your appreciation. As well, recommend a friend schemes are really, really good when you're first starting out. So maybe say to your client, oh, if you recommend a friend and your friend lets me know that you've recommended them, I'll give you both 50% off your treatment cost for the first time that you come, or maybe knock £5 off the next service, just something like that, so it entices people to bring people, like an incentive. So that's a really good way of building up your clientele as well. In summary, my best advice for building clientele is be present on your social media, be consistent, post once a day, offer a loyalty card system, whether it be 25% off, free sets of lashes, do introductory prices when you're first starting out, so your first 5 to 10 people for a discounted price, and do recommend friends as well. I get asked quite a lot how to take your photos, so what's the best way of taking your photos. Obviously it's quite difficult to explain. I might do a video on this when I'm back at work, so I can do a proper demonstration. My best advice would make sure you've got good lighting, whether it be natural lighting or a ring light. I'd definitely say invest in a ring light if you can. I've got the Newer one, I think that's how you say it, from Amazon. They can be a little bit pricey. I think mine was around £80, but it has lasted me around 2 years now. This one was really good because it's really sturdy. It comes with different settings. You can dim the light, you can have it really bright or really dim, and it comes with different settings. This one in particular came with a phone holder with Bluetooth. You can get less expensive ones, but I would definitely say make sure you're looking at the details of the more affordable ones, because some of the more affordable ones don't come with a dimmer switch, so they are just either really bright or nothing at all. Alternatively, if you maybe can't afford a ring light at the beginning, because I couldn't, my mum bought it for me, you can save up your money towards one, but if you can't afford one, maybe a really good lamp. Alternatively though, just try and get towards the best natural lighting. As regards to actual photo taking, try and take loads of photos. Of course, you will need to have your client's permission to take those photos and your client's permission to use them on your social medias. So make sure that you get that prior to just whipping your phone out at the end of the appointment, because some clients may not be comfortable with that. Always get permission first. When you do have permission though, try and take as many photos as you can. It's better to have more photos than no photos at all, because if you've got more photos, you can use them on days where you might not have anything to post or as a throwback. If you take loads of photos, you're able to get the best one at the end of the appointment, because there's no point in taking one or two and then your client's gone and you realise at the end of the day that the lighting wasn't very good, or it wasn't a very good angle, or the photo was blurry. So make sure you're taking lots of photos. Try and check just a couple while you're taking them to make sure you're getting a good angle. Try and get a low down angle as well. The best ones that I would say, especially when you're starting out, is maybe a before from the top, so you can see the lashes from below, because that's a really good way to show your standard of work. Some down below, so I always get my clients to try and focus on one spot, because it can be really difficult. If you say to some people, look straight, some people will look directly straight, some people will go like, that's what they'll think is look straight or look up. Some people will literally roll their eyes to the back of the head. So try and focus on one focal point and say, oh, if you just look at the corner of the room for me, and try and get them to look around, get them to close their eyes. You don't want an angle though of your client literally going like this, because that's just not going to be a very flattering angle. Don't be afraid to maybe obviously not be bossy with your clients. Just say, oh, would you just look over there? Could you just look at the camera for me? Make sure if you have got the flash on, you're not right up in the face, because it can make the eyes a little bit sensitive and watery. But try and get low down angles and get loads of angles and loads of pictures. Also try and get some videos as well, get slow-mo videos. Make sure as well that you've got a good camera that you're taking your pictures on. Make sure you're doing your research into, if you are buying a new phone, you want to be making sure that you're not buying a phone that hasn't got a very good camera on. And I've got the iPhone 8 Plus, I think now. You can buy little lenses to stick on your phone, it can clip on. You can also get mini ring lights to stick on the top of your phone, so if you don't have a real ring light, that's fine. Do just make sure, especially if maybe you are quite clumsy with your phone, try and put a case on your phone to protect the camera, because you have got to think, you know, your business will become your life if you're doing it for full-time self-employment. So you do need to make sure that you are investing in stuff that you are going to be able to use and promote your work with, because your photos are your promotion of your work. That's how I get my clients, is they'll see my photos on social media and then they'll think, oh, I really like them, and then they'll come to me, and that's how I get my clients consistently. So it's really, really important that I'm taking good photos, good quality photos and videos to showcase my work to then get more clients in. And then editing of the photos, rule number 1 is never ever edit the actual lashes. The lash line, no, because that can be very misleading to clients. Your lashes, you want to be showcasing. You don't want to be covering up your work and not showing your work in full. So all my best tips for editing is, number one, don't ever edit the actual lashes, the lash line. What I tend to do is smooth around the under eye area and maybe on the top of the lid, just to smooth that so the focal point is on the actual lashes. Sometimes use the whitening tool on the actual eyeball to whiten it up to bring focus towards the actual lashes. I use for my apps Facetune and also Layout. And Layout is basically, on Instagram you'll be able to see some people have 3 pictures in a certain format, so a certain layout, and that's how you use that. So you just input one certain image and it will give you multiple different layout choices. Facetune, you can use the free version. I think I did use the free version and then forgot to cancel my membership. But to be honest, it's something that I use day in, day out with my work, with the smoothing tool and the whitening tool on the pupils sometimes. Try not to over edit your photos though, because you don't want to do it to the point where your whole client's face looks airbrushed. Only smooth out maybe certain imperfections, especially on the blur tool. Don't have it all the way up. Maybe turn it down so it's halfway so you can adjust it. It doesn't need to be, you know, perfect, because nothing in real life is perfect anyway, especially when you're choosing filters on Instagram. Try and use ones that complement the actual picture. You don't want one where it's taking all the focus away from the lashes, because what really is the point in that? The whole point of the picture is to showcase your work and the lashes. So just make sure you're choosing good filters and don't edit the actual lashes. My favourite go-to filters on Instagram is the Aiden filter. And I think that's probably about it, the Aiden filter. I'm trying to branch out with my filters, but again, on Instagram, I never have the filters all the way up. I will just have them to a certain, maybe about 50%, if not less than 50%, just so the lashes are the main focal point. That's kind of the brief overview. So that is everything. I hope you've enjoyed it. I thought I'd do a video going over a few things, some of my most asked questions and best advice that I give. I'll leave the link in the description to all of my socials. And if anyone has any suggestions for anything you want to see, any questions, just drop me a DM or a comment.